Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Glad tidings from the Quran. We take a look at a verse from the 10th juz of the Quran Kareem. قُلْ لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا. Nothing will afflict us except if Allah has decreed. The glad tidings here is that even if the entire humanity threatens you, that we're going to harm you, they can't harm you except if Allah has decreed. And if the entire humanity wants to benefit you, they can't benefit you except if Allah has decreed. So don't worry too much about man and their threats. And don't worry about man and what they can or cannot do. Focus on Allah. Nothing will happen without the decree of Allah Ta'ala. Believers have faith that nothing good or bad can happen without the decision of Allah Ta'ala. And if something good happens, they accept it. If something bad happens, they accept it. If something good happens, believers make shukr, and that's good for them, they get rewarded. If something bad happens, they make sabr, and that's good for them, they get rewarded. They understand. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Sometimes you dislike something, but there's goodness in it for you. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌ لَكُمْ. And sometimes you like something, and there's something bad in it for you, and you don't realize it. Therefore, you leave it to Allah. لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا. Nothing will afflict us except what Allah has decreed. هُوَ مَوْلَانَا. Allah is our protector. وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And it is on Allah that the believers have tawakkul and reliance. But we must understand something. That has got to do with our belief and our conviction that, you know what, nothing can harm me except if Allah wants it. So do not threaten me and do not try and make me stop doing that which needs to be done. This verse was revealed in the context of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam having to go on an expedition, and the munafiqeen were saying, well, they'll see what will happen, mocking at them. That's when the verse was revealed, that tell them, لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا. But it does not mean that you don't take precaution. Tawakkul does not mean that you don't take precaution. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam planned for that expedition. He strategized for that expedition. They tried their best to make that expedition a success. So we mustn't go to the other extreme. The one extreme is to totally think that everything is in the control of man and you worry only about man and you exclude Allah from the equation altogether. Allah is most powerful and Allah is in control at the end of the day. But the other extreme is to think that, you know what, I mustn't do anything. Whatever Allah wants will happen. That is qudratullah. That is the power of Allah. You can sit at home your entire life and Allah will give you a salary. You can eat all the wrong foods and Allah will still give you good health. You can do all the wrong things and there will be no consequences. That is not beyond the power of Allah. But we're not talking of the power of Allah. The sunnatullah, the system of Allah. The system of Allah is that Allah has made us live in a world of means, cause and effect. So you've got to take precaution. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was the greatest and he took precaution. When he went for hijrah, he went and hid. He took precaution. He hid in the cave of Hira. He took a back road. He hired a guide. That's adopting of means. It was not contrary to tawakkul. But his conviction was never in the means. It was always in Allah. And that's why when Suraqa radiallahu anh caught up with them, despite all the precaution, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made dua because his conviction and his tawakkul was in Allah. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was being attacked by the Ahzab, the confederates, they dug a trench. They didn't just sit back and say, well, لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا, that nothing will happen except if Allah decrees. They dug a trench. At Uhud, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam strategized. He put the Sahaba on that hilltop. He wore armor. So the glad tiding here is that only Allah decides. Man doesn't decide. So that's the glad tiding. Have your connection with Allah. And even if it's a bad decision, seemingly, apparently a bad decision, a setback, a defeat, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. The glad tiding is sometimes you dislike something, but there's goodness in it for you. And sometimes you think this is good and you're deprived of it. Allah has protected you from some evil. And in that way, this verse gives us glad tiding. May Allah grant us the understanding. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.